Nah, Jay. And what these haters talking about.
Hey, yo, what's good with everybody, man? I hope everybody's having a productive day, feeling blessed. And like I always say, it's one life, one chance. We only got one chance to do this right. Let's get it done. So with that being said, man, I'm looking forward to something. Should be arriving before January 1st. But it's one of Rene and Boxer Enriquez's books, one of his new ones. It's called Urban Terrorism. You know, it looks pretty interesting. You know, it's a lot of pages. I'm trying to get a different book, but the other book cost $89. $89. So I'm like, all right, I guess, man, just for my YouTube and for my audience, I might buy the book, invest in it, and read it and share it with you guys. But looking forward to it. But a subscriber asked me maybe a couple weeks ago this question, and I want to break this one down. This was an interesting question. So let's get into the video. With that being said, hit that subscribe button, hit that like, always leave a comment. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Check the links in the description for my Apple and Spotify music. Go ahead and run my streams up, and you can check out my playlist section on my YouTube channel and check out my music right there. Thank you guys for you guys' time. Most importantly, thank you guys for you guys' support. Now, my subscriber asked me what's more dangerous, GP or SNY for individuals who enter the penal system who are not gang members. Now, I will say this, that way I can just leave this topic alone. Blacks politic a little different, so I'm gonna leave that aspect out because I've seen certain things, but I really didn't comprehend it, didn't know the ongoings and the inner workings of it, so I'm gonna leave that as that. But in accordance to the other people, because when I was a norteño, you know, me programming with blacks, I didn't have to sit there and be observant and monitor, you know, the black politics, the Crips and the Bloods, because throughout my whole prison term, only one time, which was in Susanville when we kicked it off with the blacks, have I ever had to deal with black politics and go to war with them. Other than that, I've always been peaceful with them. We've always, you know, interacted. We always shared the same table. So, you know, there was never nothing to worry about. I was too busy monitoring, you know, the whites because they were considered opposition, the Southerners considered opposition, things of that nature. So I'm gonna speak from personal experience. There's gonna be multiple stories in this video that I wanna share with you guys, so my apologies if it's a long one. But when I was in county jail, I know I told this story a long time ago, a very long time ago, and I'll share it with you guys again. I got a cellie who was from Dinuba. Now, he did a shooting with a couple of homeboys from Dinuba. What happened was he was at a party. They were kicking in. He hooked up with some Hina that was a homegirl from Dinuba, but since he was a non-affiliate, he just knew these dudes from school. You know, that's all it was. He was just trying to get drunk and have a good, great time, and they wound up driving around. They seen us some Southerners, dumped on him. They all get arrested. Bam, he becomes my cellie. And as my cellie, he had no idea that, you know, what Norte was. He couldn't even say Norte. He was like, Norte? Norte? Like, he was a white dude. And I even gave him his own nickname, Trucha. So he comes into my cell. First time I ever had to deal with it. Now, mind you, I'm a Norteño Salado. I'm an ANSO getting educated on the inner workings of a COC and how the hermanos work. But this one's new to me. I'm like, bro, I don't know how you're in a program. I don't even know why you're in my cell. You're white. You should be over there in a pod with the white dudes. But based on his surrounding case factors was, you know, he was with Northerners when this happened, so they threw him in the pod with all the Northerners. So he becomes my cellie. Being that he's a non-gang member, he still had since he was in my cell. Now, say if he got put in a cell, like 2 cells down, with a paisano or another individual that was just, you know, there on just a regular violation, or that was just some non-affiliate dude, then he wouldn't have to submit to the Norteño program like he had to do with myself. See, he was in the pod with us, but he presented no threat because he was not gang related. But even those that didn't bang in the county jail where I was at as Norteños, we still investigated anybody that came in because, you know, you could slip through the cracks. So he would have got a certain questionnaire, you know, would have asked him a bunch of questions. We would have tried to read his paperwork when he got his discovery packet. We would have still SB'd him, made him sit down on the bench for 3 days until the household was like, you know what, you know, he don't gangbang, so just go ahead and let him do his thing. But based on he was placed in my cell, he had a program like a Norteño. Get up 6 in the morning, roll his mattress up, go out there and bust down Machina with us. He followed all the household rules and the household implementations in regards to how to program and how to conduct yourself. Why? Don't really understand that part. To this day, I don't understand that part. But in doing so, with him submitting to the program, just the basic essentials on how to conduct yourself, how to carry yourself, his only biggest objective and obligation was, if you ever see a Norteño getting jumped by the blacks, because we shared the pod with the blacks, but it goes for all facilities, getting jumped by whites, getting jumped by Southerners, defend that man. Because by introducing him to the program and him conforming to the program, because since he's programming with me, he's not getting exposed to all the curriculum, the education, the politics. But him being exposed and him conforming to it is me giving my obligation back to him, saying, well, since you program with me and since you're in my house, I respect you for that, so I'm going to defend you too. So if he was getting jumped by the blacks because he was white and they decided to prey on a black innocent victim, and they decided to prey on a white innocent victim just for, target practice or whatever, just regular natural hunting season, I guess, I don't know. It was my obligation to defend him because he's part of my program. Now, he eventually, his dad died in my cell, and he decided to say, I don't want to be part of none of this. I just want to fight my case. Because little by little, he started to see that the education, me sitting down, we got caught with a metal flat that I was going to sharpen into a weapon. So things started getting serious, and he didn't want nothing to mess up his opportunities of beating his case, which he didn't beat his case. None of these guys beat their case. They all got like 15 years. Poor kid, man. He was just a driver, was getting drunk with Norteños, and they were acting a nut, and they were acting a fool, and just started dumping out a Southerner, and his vehicle was linked to the crime, and he had to do 15 years for that. It was pretty sad. But he wound up becoming a Christian, and the same thing, he was like, how's this going to work, bro? Like, you guys are going to whack me? Like, he was willing to take that whacking and go to PC side. But at the time, I was like, bro, you ain't got to lock it up. You ain't got to do nothing. The homies did kind of want to whack him a little bit because he had been conforming with the program for quite some time. But some of the Norteños mentality was like, man, the whole purpose of getting him within the program is to mold him, is to recruit him, is to educate him who the people is. Now, he's from Eastside Dina. That's where he caught his case. He's from Danuba. He's from a Norteño neighborhood. He should be a Norteño. But in my head, I'm like, bro, if he doesn't want to be, he doesn't have to be. So I had to argue with a couple of brothers that were like, bro, if he doesn't want to program with us, man, he can get the hell out of here, bro. He's taking up space, bro. That bunk belongs to Norteño. But in my head, I was like, bro, hell nah, bro. When are we predators? Because I was taught on the streets physical discipline and victimizing innocent people was against the rules. Even though on the streets, homies are getting DP'd, physical discipline in the backyard in Porterville like crazy. But I just had this morality, this moral principle that I was like, bro, you're not going to victimize this kid because I live with this kid every day. I seen that dude's pain. Like, he was so confused, like, damn, bro, like, I was having a great time. I was trying to hook up with this girl from Dinuba. She was beautiful. And I was buying all the beer for these guys. I just wanted to have a good time. I didn't know these guys were going to shoot somebody and shoot some rival gang member. He had no idea what a Northerner and Southerner was. And they wanted to whack him because he refused the program. Because they felt like this pod is a Norteño pod. Well, if that was the case, we could have went at it with the blacks, but we didn't. But overall, the decision was to let him be. And all he had to do, and I told him, man, as long as you're my celly, bro, like, all you have to do is, bro, is just roll your mattress up at 6 o'clock with me, bust down with me. You don't got to go out there and associate and hang with us and chop it up with us. A lot of homies are not going to defend you. They're not going to give you sopas. They're not going to, when they bring me food, they're going to bring food for me, not for you. They're going to kind of treat you like an outsider, like an outcast, but I'm not going to treat you like that. So it differentiates, with the whites. If you're a white guy and you land in the section where there's the white faction, automatically, just based on the racial division that already exists from the beginning of time, you're going to have to go kick it with them white dudes. Them white guys are not going to let you walk around and just go kick it with a black dude or kick it with a Mexican. They're going to tell you, man, come over here, man. You belong over here. We got you. We'll protect you. They'll give you that whole racial speech, man. You belong with the whites, man. The only people that are going to look out for your best interests is the whites. This is your people. We're not going to prey on you like everybody else is. We're not going to take advantage of you like everybody else is. But eventually that'll happen. I'm not saying it happens every time, but eventually it would happen. Southerners, if you're a paisa or you're a dude that just got busted from down south, you're running with the Southerners. They're going to teach you the same thing, the rules, the regulations, what you can and can't do. Them on a different scale that not all the time, but sometimes, they do ask their residents, that people that are not affiliated just got busted. Hey, man, you and your celly are going to go on this pegada. Some residents feel obligated because they're like, man, these dudes been looking out for me. They've been getting me high. They've been taking care of me. They've been shooting me comida. So some people feel that pressure and they kind of fold under that pressure like, man, this is what I owe them. Eventually it was going to come. But sometimes that's how mainline politics really work. Even for individuals that program with us, I seen it in Susanville. Seen it a couple of times in Susanville. These individuals were cellies. They were always sold up with norteños. One of the individuals, he was sold up with a norteño for like almost a year. His celly had to do a removal. Now he volunteered, even though they asked him like, hey, you want to go with your celly? He respectfully volunteered because, he was just cool with his celly. He had grew a bond with his celly. They were from the same neighborhood, so he went with his celly. But if you think about it, he shouldn't have been put in that predicament anyways. He should have been, hey, bro, he shouldn't even been informed about the kite. You're supposed to keep norteño business away from these individuals. They just program regularly, kick it in our area, and they jump if a riot happens, and they jump if a norteño is getting victimized. But he went with his celly because he was like, man, I've been with this fool for over a year. The norteños looked out for me for over a year. I've been programming with them. They had my back, so this is my time to have their back. And he went on that mission. He was one of the bombers. They sliced dude. Dude got rid of the weapon. Him and his celly were the bombers. Beat dude up, and he went about his way. After that, when he came back, he was actually a norteño. Started banging norteños, started programming politics. So sometimes people get lured into the lifestyle. But it's a formality. With the norteño program, there's a hidden agenda that we have for those that do associate with us, have got busted in Northern California. We're going to do our duty to expose them little by little. Hey, man, this is who you really are, bro. You're a Northern Chicano, bro. This is who we are. We're norteños. We're under this umbrella. This is what we represent. This is what we are for the betterment of the people, the advancement. You could be part of that advancement as long as you're willing to contribute like the rest of us. There's a lot of subtle forms of manipulation, but the first manipulation begins with, hey, if you're gonna be in a cell with a norteño, or you're gonna come to our area and you want us to defend and protect you so you don't get preyed upon by anybody else, because on the main line it happens, then the least you can do is do this. The least you can do is do that. And eventually, whoever's running that household can feel like one day just waking up and be like, man, you know what? I want to see what that fool's about, man. We've been doing all this for him. Let's see what he's about. Let's see if he's willing to sacrifice for us like we're willing to sacrifice for him. That becomes the mentality when people that are non-gang members start programming with norteños, whites, southerners. Somebody eventually will force your hand, but if you're under a righteous leadership, you'll just be left alone. But I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people that haven't gangbanged that went on the main line because they didn't want to deal with the PC side, the SNY side, the chomos and the pedos, all that aspect of it. Have skated through. Have went over there and did a great program. They just did what they had to do. They kept their mouth shut. They kept their nose clean. They didn't get into anybody's business. They didn't try to politic. They didn't try to adopt the ideologies. Sometimes these individuals can be left alone. Just the same obligation, I think, is universal. And if you're gonna be in a cell with us and you're gonna be hanging around our area, the least you could do is defend this area and defend us if we need that help, if we need your assistance. But in the meantime, do your time. And they could be left alone. But I have seen that guilty conscience that I'm telling you about, where individuals been programming with norteños for so long, and then they finally they feel like it's in their duty to say, like, man, I got to do something, bro. These dudes been looking out. They've been busting spreads with me. They've been letting me borrow their CDs, man. They hooked me up with soups. I can ask the end out for a deodorant and toothpaste if I'm doing bad. I'm taking from them. I'm going to give back. And what's the best way to give back? To volunteer and do removals. But once you do that and you shed blood for the norteño program, then you become the norteño program. Then you become that northerner. You become a norteño. And then from there, it is what it is. Because I had a celly. That was the trip, right? Because this happened to a dude that was just kicking it with northerners. Before him, I got a celly that was a paisa. Straight paisa. Talk Spanish. And the household literally told me, hey, if he's going to be in your cell, he's got a program, the norteño program, or you have to tell him he has to go. So I'm telling him this, and I'm telling my neighbor, because my neighbor spoke Spanish. He was from Woodlake. And he's telling her everything. And the paisa was like, Simón que sí. Like, he did. So every morning, the paisa, he shake my hand. Wait, buenos dias, eh? Ooh. Roll his mattress up. I roll my mattress up. We drink our coffee. We didn't talk too much. I understood what he was talking. I can understand Spanish real well. I just can't roll my R's and I can't talk really good. Like, I have to sit there and put my sentences together. But I would write my letters, do my drawings. He'd read the Bible. He had the Spanish version of the Bible. He was my celly for like 3 weeks. But he also seen a paisa get removed. A paisa get removed, and I told that story a long time ago when they beat him up on the stairs, kicked him down the stairs, looked like they broke his back, because that paisa didn't want a program. And all the homies were telling him to do is like, look, bro, we just want to see your paperwork, and we want to just get information about you, and that's it. and just spend a couple of days sitting on the desk. We'll escort you to the shower. All this. And he refused. He was like, man, I ain't answering to none of you fools. And they wound up beating him up, removing him because he posed a threat to the Norteño program. But even my celly at the time was like, man, that paisa should have just went with it. You know, like he understood that he was comfortably living. He was protected. Nobody was doing nothing to him. He was doing his time in peace. He was only in there for a couple of weeks, and then he got the boot too. He went back home. So this one understood, but this one didn't. So we had to victimize this one for not conforming. And that's the harsh reality of it is. When you don't conform, when you don't at least meet us in a mutual ground, like, hey, bro, we need to investigate who you are because you're in our household, and you choose not to, then we got to get rid of you. The same thing could have happened to my celly that was white that got into it with the homies in Dinuba. If he walked in my cell, I was like, man, I ain't answering that paper, man. I ain't going to roll my mattress, so I'm going to sleep all day. Then I would have had to whack him out myself. So it's weird, man. It's a gray line. It's a gray area when it comes to individuals that are not gangbanging. Now, I can't speak on the Southerners and whites wholeheartedly, just from what I've seen. Like if you're white, you're gonna run with the whites. If you live in Southern California, you're gonna run with the Southerners, and we all dictate your program differently. I could just honestly say from the Norteño program, a lot of times they're left alone. Sometimes, if somebody's going to take a liking to him, they're going to try to persuade him to, become a norteño. Then that's when all the obligations come in, carrying weapons, doing education, holding COC positions, and doing removals. The SNY, I want to say that's totally different. The STGs run it, but they keep to themselves. And what I mean by keeping to themselves is like they're not going to go and just look for people like that. If you're made, then you're made. They're going to have their table, their area, they associate. Most of the time, we were politicking on each other so much, we don't care about the non-affiliates. Yes, certain particular groups will target a non-affiliate when you've interacted with them. Now, like I said, you could be a non-affiliate doing your own program with it, but some non-affiliates decide to get in Zapatista business, IR business, or do business with them. Business goes bad. The only bad part about being a non-gang member on a SNY is this. Unless you have a crew that's backing you up, the moment you decide to get into it with one of these individuals, nobody's there to protect you. You're your own man. But there was an incident I seen. The 2-5ers were extorting this, what was his? I don't remember his name, bro, but I just remember the 2-5er's name. He was from Pomona. So it was at the end of yard. I don't know what instigated this particular situation, but I know they always punked that fool every time he went to canteen. Every time he went to canteen, they took something from him. And he was a little guy, man. He had a big old brocha. He had his hair brushed back. He was always wearing these faded, dusty, state blue pants, but he cut them off in his shorts. And he'd always be out there with his shirt off. All the time, you could see that fool getting punked for his canteen. Wasn't none of my business. At that time, man, I was politicking bad, and I was going after some of my own riders at the time that I didn't really care who that fool was. But one day, it's the end of yard, man. It's all sunny outside, man. It was beautiful, fresh air. I did my pull-ups, did my push-ups. I ate an ice cream and a candy bar. I had a bag of canteen, like $50 in soups and peanut butter and oatmeal. And I look, and everybody's like, you could tell everybody was just like, it's going to go down. It's going to go down. So I catch everybody's like attention, and I'm like, well, where's it at? And then I see it. So you have 3 2-5ers, and that fool, he's backpedaling. And he's like he's looking at all 3 of them. He's keeping his eye on all 3 of them. And the 2-5ers are walking to him like, what's up, fool? What's up, fool? And that's all they kept doing. Now, mind you, they backpedaled and followed him like the whole basketball court, like in circles. And the COs didn't hit the alarm. But I look at the COs, and the COs are right there just like, they're getting their bombs out. They got the gun ready. So finally the COs are like, hey, man, are you guys going to fight or not? Hurry up and get it over with. Like, they wanted to see the fight. They didn't try to prevent it and stop this dude from getting jumped by 3 people. And the 2-5ers rushed him. But oh my God. My God. The dude was a little guy, bro. Skinny, man. Like maybe 150 pounds, bro. One of the 2-5ers, the 2-5er from Pomona was a chunky, bald-headed dude from Pomona. And he must have been like at least 220 pounds, 230 pounds of just, blubber and flubber and fat. So they jump him. They rush him. After like 30, 40 seconds of them just following around like, what's up, fool? Come on, fool. Just get him up, fool. And he was just like backing up, like making sure nobody got behind him. And then they rush in, right? And that fool just closes his eyes and just throws a hate maker like, bam. And he hits that dude from Pomona right here in the temple. And I swear to God, even the cops, I'm not even exaggerating, even the cops were like, oh, You hear the whole echo of the yard. Oh, because a dude from Pomona gets hit. And I swear to God, he did the Jordan symbol in the air like, ugh. And he held it. Like he was asleep for 2 seconds doing the Jordan logo. Oh. And then came back to reality like, oh, damn, that fool hit me. So everybody was like, oh. They literally, he did the strategy about this dude is he backpedaled the whole time. He backpedaled. He made sure nobody got behind his back. And he locked with these fools. And these fools could not get him on the ground. And there's just like 22 fibers laying around, scattered around, like, come on, get that fool, Essex. Come on, deuce five. They didn't drop him. And he was just locked. But he would, though, every time he swung, he'd like close his eyes, though. Like seriously, like he was the blind fury of street boxing. But he was landing them. And they could not get him off the ground. And surprisingly, none of the 2 fibers jumped in. None of the 2 fibers jumped in at all. So finally, the cops hit the alarm. We all get down and we're watching them. And it's like they were fighting them. Like they were afraid to get in there. They were all fighting, like putting their heads back and swinging like this. For like they're having muscle spasms in their neck. Like, oh. Like they had Tourette's when they were boxing. Like, oh. That's what they were doing. And that fool just had his eyes closed. Fight went on for about 20 seconds. Through the bombs, they all separated. And I swear to God, finally, when that dude decided to open his eyes, he's walking backwards. Like, he's away. He's on the other side of the yard. The 2 fibers come this way next to their brothers. And for some reason, the 2 fibers believe it was a victory. They were like, 2-5, 2-5, whoa. But that dude's over there walking, like, in the midst of the smoke, bro. You see the smoke, and he's a little guy, but you can see him kind of, like, pacing back and forth like a Black Panther. And he's like he did that. Like, man, your fools didn't drop me. Your fools didn't drop me. Why so serious? That's how he looked, bro. And I'm like, wow. Like, they let that fool on it. They left that. The 2 fibers are already laying down. This fool's still pacing back and forth like a Black Panther. Like he's Apocalypto. Like that. And then he laid it down. They wound up getting him off the yard because he was the victim. But that's how it would happen on the SNY. If a group of STGs decide to pick on somebody that's not a gang member, then it's going to happen. And you got to do what you got to do to defend yourself. But I'm not just saying for STG groups either. You know, we can have a group of individuals that are from LA, from Compton, or, you know, a bunch of ex-skinheads who just look at this white boy like he's a punani. That they could take advantage of him and take what he wants. And if they wanted to, they can come together and just take him, take his yeeks, take his canteen, extort him, tell him, hey, bro, you better get on that phone and tell your family, you send you $500 to this number, or we're going to stab you off the yard. And the dude does it because he's afraid to get killed. It could happen. Does it happen all the time? No. The biggest thing you'll see on the SNY is STG groups going to war with each other. And then, like I said, I mentioned a particular group in the past where they'll prey on you if you're from Southern California, if they know they can get something out of you or they can benefit from you. But do they just walk around looking for somebody like, yeah, he looks like a weenie. Yeah, he looks like he looks like a corn dog, undercover weenie. Yeah, we can take something from him. Let's go get him. Doesn't really work like that. So I would just say it's more dangerous on the SNY because somebody can just really just wake up any day and say, you know what, man, that fool had some nice Nikes the other day. Yeah, I'm gonna knock him out in day room and I'm gonna take his shoes off and I'm gonna put them on and I'm gonna tell the cops like, these are my shoes. That's how easy it is on the SNY. So I hope I answered your question to the best of my ability. I was glad I was able to share you that story with you guys when the 2 fibers jumped up. Boy, I've been wanting to tell that story too. It's just like, man, like, dude, who fights like that? So with that being said, like I always say, it's one life, one chance. We only got one chance to do this right. Let's get it done. Peace.